Everybody, what's happening? It's Bill with Franklin Loan Center. And I mean, by far, the biggest complaint I hear today is like how expensive housing is. And look, I agree. It's insane how much prices are up. It doesn't help that rates are up, all that good stuff. But I just wanted to, I threw some numbers together to help us understand like what it really looks like to rent long term, right? So on this side, what I did is this is you're looking at about a $5,000 a month payment, including taxes and insurance. If you paid $700,000 for a house, put 10% down and got a 7% interest rate, including taxes, insurance, everything, you're looking at a total payment of about $5,070. And that's $1.825 million that you would pay over the 30 years, which is like a shocking number, right? So you have that thing over the 30 years, it's $1.8 million. If you rent for the same period, and for the 30 years, I assumed you rent that same house today for $3,500. I think that number is, if anything, on the low side. And then I assumed rents go up 3.5% a year, which historical is actually significantly higher than that. I just used 3.5%. You'll pay $2.26 million in rent over that same 30 years, right? So it's a $400,000 to the upside bonus to buying the house versus renting the house, right? So it makes a ton of sense. I know I preach this in every different direction, but there's 400,000 reasons. And guys, like, let's not forget the other thing that's really important about these numbers. So you're in up 400 from a pure cash flow perspective, $400,000 ahead on buying versus renting over a 30-year period. The other part that's really amazing about this is now you own your house free and clear. And by the way, if you apply, again, historical averages, 4.5% per year for appreciation, that doubles every 15 years. So it'll double twice in the 30 years. So your house will go from 700 to 1.4 million to 2.8 million if the next 30 years does the same thing the last 60 years did, right? So it's just crazy to think how these numbers are, right? And then like that's the other part, is that's when these numbers get really crazy. So the next 10 years, if you continue to rent, your rent's continuing to go up, and you're just living for taxes and insurance and you're in your $2.8 million house, right? So look, I mean, there's a lot of history here that says that these numbers will totally pan out. If anything, I'm being conservative on both sides. But it's another way to drive it home. Now, I know almost none of us think about our purchase that we're getting ready to make as a full 30-year purchase. And maybe you trade up and maybe you do all these different things, but if you kind of always keep this in mind, yes, it's definitely expensive to buy right now, but over the long haul, it is such a huge improvement to purchase versus buy. Purchase versus rent. There's just no arguing with it. So anyway, I'm happy to share this spreadsheet with anybody that wants to see it. I think it's just one of those things that's just really compelling. I mean, and again, I fully acknowledge how expensive things are, but it's only going to get worse on the rent side where you can lock in the mortgage side. So that's all I got. I'm Bill. I'm the Franklin Loan Center, and I'll see y'all next week.